July 8th is only a couple weeks away at this point as we're recording this. We're getting super close to the event, Anthony. I'd love to know kind of how things are going right now. How does it feel? Does the pressure get a little bit extra the closer you get to the event, or is it kind of like one of those, I've done all the hard work, now it's just let's let the thing go? How you feeling right now, Anthony?
Probably my shade will probably give it away a little bit. This is when all the organized chaos is starting to happen. The checklists keep getting bigger as they should be getting smaller. But I'm really excited. I think we're assembling a great group of speakers / educators to come to talk to our dealer partners and the people in attendance. And we're going to bring some outside factors and really focus in on the hospitality of it all. So I'm very excited about this. Um, okay, I'm sorry.
No, for people who haven't attended an event of yours before, generally, not specifically this year, but what should the average attendee expect from a by appointments only event normally?
Okay. Well, normally they're going to expect, I bring the brightest minds from across the country to come talk about processes and best practices and the latest technology and what you should be doing inside your dealership to create more opportunities to sell more vehicles. That's what we normally do. And I try to bring, the people that are the one percenters. These are a lot of these are my friends / mentors, peers, people I really respect. And, I don't see us as competition. I see it, as we're all teaching the same, but just delivering a different message, right? And a different way to deliver it. So this year, what's going to be different is that we're bringing actual consumers to the stage. It's great to learn all the practices and what you should be doing inside the dealership. But at the end of the day, the consumer should be the curriculum, which is the name of our event. And we really want to get a feel for what they like about the car buying process and what they don't. And I think if we ask the right questions, they're going to tell us exactly how to take all the friction out of the car buying process. And at the end of the day, make it a fast, easy, and enjoyable experience like it should be. Buying a car should be something that you enjoy, especially if it's one of the biggest purchases that you make in your life. And I think this time we're going to get a lot of feedback and we're going to open a lot of eyes with what the consumers are going to tell us.
So first off, let me say thank you for allowing me to be at the event, even though you're wanting the brightest minds in the industry to be there. So thank you for making an exception for me, first and foremost.
Dude, I love you, bro. So thank you
No,
for being there.
no, thank you. I was just joking. Now, so a slight shift in this year's focus to talk a lot about the customer. And to me, as a guy who's been in this space more on the vendor side for over 15 years, this is something I don't see enough of these type of events, these type of shows, the conferences. They don't talk enough about the customer experience. So we've had an opportunity to meet quite a few of the speakers in previous episodes, but today we have Joe. Joe is, I believe he's spoken at your event before, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
All my events.
So talk with us a little bit about why you selected Joe for this event, because I know most of last year's speakers are not going to be here this year, but Joe is back. So why
Yes.
is Joe back, and what are we having Joe talk about this year?
Well, I tell you what, I have Joe back for multiple reasons, right? Number one, me and Joe go way back. We worked together early in the beginning of my career inside the automotive industry. And he is somebody that has been a friend and a peer and a mentor, so to speak, and helped me grow as a person inside the industry. And we align ourselves with a lot of the same thinking, especially when it comes to BDC and creating opportunities inside the automotive space. And he comes with that with a couple different angles. He comes at it with really great tight processes that if you follow these processes, you'll get results. But he also comes with faith, right? With the faith perspective, because, there's a lot of peaks and valleys in this industry. And if you don't have that faith to go along with what you're doing, there's not many of us that survive it. That's why there's such a high turnover rate. So, the main reasons I bring Joe in on stage again is number one, he's a close friend of mine. I feel like he's a brother. We stay in constant contact throughout the year, in between these events. His message is second to none. I asked him to specifically speak about what he's going to speak about because I really believe he's really good at what he does. And I believe people need a direction. And he's really good at delivering that where people open up their ears and are more willing to listen because of his delivery style.
Joe, last year I was at the event and I was sitting next to a buddy of mine who had asked me to come there with him. And when you were announced to step up on the stage, he kind of gave me a little nudge and said, "Pay attention to this one. This one's going to be good." And by all means, you were great. And
Thank
your
you.
message last year spoke to me not just about the industry stuff, but the outside of the industry stuff that you also lead with as well. And I first off just wanted to say I didn't get a chance to meet you personally last year, but your message spoke to me for sure. So thank you for
Thank you.
that. Now this
Welcome.
year, what is the topic going to be around this year for you, Joe?
So thank you again for that. And, you know, Anthony, thank you as well. Again, both of you guys, I really appreciate your kind words. For just to, and I'm going to talk about what the message is going to be, but one of the things that really drives me is I really care about the growth and development of the person. And I think that's why I feel, and again, I know Anthony does as well, when he speaks to his people and when he helps his partners and he works with his team, he's not just doing it for the sake of profit. He's not just doing it for the sake of a dollar amount. He's doing it because he wants to see it's like a father with a child. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing better when you watch your child develop, grow, and succeed in something that you've seen them start from, not really being that great at it or just in the beginning, stages of something. And then all of a sudden it's like, I know Anthony's a very big baseball fan, but watching his son go out there and start with the, very, just in T-ball probably, or
Yeah.
just throwing the ball, all that stuff to now where he's, going without the T-ball. Now he's hitting the ball, he's catching the ball, throwing it, all these little things that may seem like they're not big deals. Just to see that progress and the growth and the development. And that's what really, that's what pulls my heart. That's what drives me to deliver the message that I deliver, because I want to see people's lives impacted for good because of something I maybe gave them. And I think training, one of the things that I love so much about training is that being in this industry as long as I've been in it since the 1900s, like my kids would say. I mean, like, back in those days when, who knows? I mean, the elephants would probably like put their trunks in the water, and like that's how I used, how I'd shower. You know what I mean? Like that's how old I am. But starting in the 1900s, I was trained by different people, and I grabbed a hold of certain phrases and certain things that I was given in my training in my early stages that's made me thousands and thousands of dollars over the
Yeah.
years, right? And so because of that, I want to be able to do that for others. I want to give them something they can grab a hold of and say, you know what, I want to make this money with this so that I can impact my family, that I can change the direction of what my lifestyle looks like and what I can give to my family, and what freedom comes with that. And it's not just about the money, it's about the freedom that is attached to that, right?
Yes.
And so all that being said, it's just, it for me, it's about making an impact that goes beyond and takes people to another level. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about this year is we're going to talk about process. We're going to talk about the road to the sale, and we're going to talk about the road to the appointment as well. And we're going to follow that road, but the way that we go about it is not so much just looking at steps as much as it is we're not salespeople talking to customers. We're not BDC reps talking to clients. We're not managers talking to salespeople. We're people talking to people. And I think that's the thing that we have to remember, is that when we understand that we're not in the car business, we're in the people business, our goal is people before profit. And so in delivering that message, I believe what happens is it takes people out of their own head sometimes, because I know I've seen people that are just incredible people that sit in front of a manager during an interview, and there's something that sparks that says to the manager, I want you to represent what we stand for. And then they get into the, swing of things, and then get overwhelmed with all of the stuff that comes with trying to work in this business, between all the different technologies, the different softwares, the logins, the CRMs, the DMSs, the AI bots, and all the different things that they have to learn. And then all the steps, and then they just lose them. They lose their personality because they're trying to do the stuff,
Yeah.
And so I think it's just very important to help calm people's nerves down by letting them know that, look, you're hired because you're brought into this store or this dealership or this group or this team because there's something in you that the owner or the manager saw that said, yes, we want you to be the person to represent what we stand for. And I believe that sometimes we just, need a little help, carving that person out and letting that person succeed and grow and develop by giving them the tools to do that. So that's kind of the focus that we're going to go on in this session here for this year. And again, this is what, the fourth one now, Anthony?
Yes, this is volume 4. Goes quick,
This is
doesn't it?
it's amazing, and just to see the growth of where you started to where it's at is just incredible. And I love so much this topic about bringing the consumer in and letting them drive this conversation.
hmm I appreciate it. And you know,
Yeah.
there's a couple quotes I think about when I think about Joe Cala. The one is, the BDC relates it to a relay race. We're running a relay
Mhm.
race, and the BDC is where we grab the baton first, and we're the first impression of the dealership besides the website. And if we have a smooth transition, we take all the right notes and we ask all the right questions, we're going to sell the car and we're going to pass that baton nicely. The second
Yes.
one is, and which is most important, especially for everybody attending the conference, which I'm going to reiterate this at the conference in my opening, is that information without application is just information. And that's the case for most people in life, right? That's why there's the 99% and the 1%. And the people that are going to show up to this conference, I'm going to applaud them for taking that first step to show up. But information plus application equals transformation. And that's
Yes.
what people got to remember. It's great to come to a conference and get all these processes and to learn from the consumers that we're going to ask all these questions of. We're going to find out why there's X amount of dealerships in Monmouth County and there's X amount of different documentation fees for each dealership, right? We're going to find out where all the pain points are. We're going to have all the tough conversations that dealers need to have with these consumers, because if we take the friction out of the process and we use hospitality and treat people just like humans, like Joe says, if you want to change what people are going to do, you got to change how they feel about it. And Joe, I'm excited to have you, brother.
Yeah. Thank you, man. It's
So let
great.
me ask you this, Joe. Everything that you said speaks exactly and directly to my passion and what I've look forward to doing continually in my career. I had a lot of early in my career personal success, but that never equated to the level of fulfillment when I had an opportunity to share my personal success with other individuals to help them grow and develop their career. So as you say everything that you said, like, yeah, it makes total sense to me. But I also know, as a guy who's worked with hundreds of dealers over the many years, that that is not the normal process in these stores.
Mhm.
The average store isn't focused on the development of their people and to say, let's build on the individual that's there instead of putting them into a box that is so focused around revenue and service drive and sell more units and deals,
Mhm.
deals, deals. Why do you think that's where we are in the industry? And do you think that in the next 10 years, we'll be able to change that obvious perception of the automotive industry? Do you think we'll be able to change it?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I feel like it's changing to some extent. A lot of the old guys in old dogs in this business, we went through some hard times with the way that we were treated, the way we were talked to by managers, the way that we were just, verbally and, emotionally abused. I mean, all these different and physically sometimes. But I mean, when it comes to this business, we've gone through, and I've seen it from 1993 when I first started till even to this very day. Just, the younger generation of you get these 20-year-olds. I started selling cars, I was 18. I'm 51 now. So, you get all these in that time. I've seen so many things change. But again, today's, the younger generation, the people that are coming in, there's different things that drive them. There's technology, all these different things. Like there's a generation that only knows technology and that's all they've ever grown up with. Me and Anthony, we kind of are like the bridge between some of the older, like we hold the hands of both, generations,
Yeah,
bridging
yeah.
that gap, because we were growing up like as it was coming out. A lot of it came from our generation, and so that we have a hand on where we understand it, we know it, and then we could also relate to the younger, and so we can kind of like bring the two together and try to keep that, that fill that gap. And I think what's happened is we've discovered that there were some really toxic bad things that happened in this industry that still try to make its way in. Like even like you see dealerships that are closing for holidays and everything like that. Like, and I was selling, for the most part, most of the time when I was selling, there was no holiday. Like you worked every holiday except Christmas and
What are
Thanksgiving.
days off?
That's it. That was it. Christmas and Thanksgiving, and then it was like bell to bell, 12-hour days. It was crazy, and it just destroyed so much, so many things. And I'm not against, performance and all, but I've discovered that you can still, and I always ask this when I go to the dealerships, like, how many hours do you guys work a day? Like, and they'll say, like, oh, 9 hours. I'm like, I'm not asking how many hours you're at the dealership. That's a
Mm,
different question. How
Yes,
many actual hours do you work a day? Not how many hours are you at your store?
I love
Because
that.
there's a difference. And when you go to your store, you can probably get a lot done if you focused that time. So you can still get great performance with less hours at the dealership. And
Mm,
so, and again, we grew up with thinking that the more we're at the dealership, the more we can sell. In reality, it's about, smarter and harder, not just one or
yes,
the other. It's about working both. And so they're starting to see a lot of dealers. I have friends of mine that who are dealers that have changed the dynamic. They've changed the way that certain pay plans work. They've changed the way that scheduling works with people, their sales teams. So they actually have time to go see their kids outside of the job and things like that. And there's a lot more freedom, I feel like, for that. So I think it's developing in that way. I think there's still some things there. To find the balance is definitely a tricky thing,
yeah.
because of course this is a business where you're looking for profit and performance and stuff. So I'm not against any of that, but I am against it when it does step over lines where it's toxic and unhealthy.
Absolutely.
So I feel like there's definitely been some progress.
yeah, and the way I look at it, I genuinely believe there's value, and especially when you're early in your career, early in the dealership life, to be able to have those like long work weeks, those have to
Yeah.
work through a weekend, have to work
Yeah.
through a holiday, and the sacrifice that you get there. And I would love the opportunity for people to advance inside of the store to where they have a little bit more flexibility and freedom when they earn that flexibility and freedom over time in that aspect. But and Anthony, I ask this of you. I mean, I think the general perception, we're going to find out at this event
Yeah.
because we're going to have an opportunity. You can do something very unique with live customers who aren't scripted or aren't prepared to be able to speak to this. But I think, Joe, a lot of what you answered is the benefits of how the perception is of the employees that are inside the four walls. But I think there's a separate perception of how people in the dealership will treat the customers and how they'll treat the customers with transparency and as people first. And Anthony, that's something we're going to really highlight in this event, which is how the customers who are buying the cars, who are servicing their vehicles, perceive the dealership.
Absolutely.
And that is a part that I think has to be focused on a lot. And I think that
Yeah.
that is not something that I see enough dealerships really putting a lot of emphasis on. I see a shift, but still probably not fast enough. Anthony, I assume that's a big reason why we're kind of having this focus this year, but talk with me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I agree. I think more dealerships need to focus not only on their people because you can feel the energy when you walk onto a sales floor. Like I always say, you know what's going on by the energy of the sales floor before you get into the CRM, right? And happy employees make happy customers. And if you think of
Yeah.
all the top organizations in the world, like you walk into Disney World, it's a happy place for a reason because everybody is playing their role. You go to a top restaurant, fine dining restaurant, and you get top of the line service, and everybody's in a good mood. There's the energy's flowing, right? You can see it, you can feel it, and the feeling that you get when you go to buy a car is not that feeling. You don't get
Mm.
that feeling when you walk in as a customer into the dealership, and you don't get it as a vendor partner either sometimes, right? So something I want to focus on is hospitality and how we make people feel. And if we don't ask the customer about how they feel, then we're just going to be assuming everything. And
Mhm.
we don't put these conferences on to make money. I want to make a change in the industry, right? This is not about making money. I want people to come together, ask these tough questions, ask the customers how they feel about the buying process. Why is it when they call in, they can't get an accurate trade-in value? Why is that they can go to Carvana and get a lot more from Carvana without even having to show them their car and a check comes to them, right? Why is it so easy? Why do we put so much friction in there? And if we ask the right questions and the dealers are willing to learn, we're going to learn on how to take all that friction out. And then that means selling more cars, retaining more people for service drive, and creating more opportunities to do more business. So I think it's going to be really eye-opening. I think it's going to give dealers a really good perspective on how they can change. And the first part in changing is to take a look at themselves and how do we treat our people? Because how we treat our people is also going to be correlated to how we treat our guests as well.
Hey, real
Yeah,
life
that
story.
yeah, go ahead,
Real
Joe.
quick. So
Hmm.
real life story. I know Carvana, Listen, we had my daughter, her lease was just coming up here in June. And so in May, my daughter's lease was coming up, and we decided to go ahead and see if we can just get out of it and get her into a new vehicle. So trade values, went to a couple different dealerships, went to Carvana, CarMax. Carvana gave us 19.6 for her vehicle. We owed 14,000 on it.
God bless.
So we were way ahead on it. Did everything. It was as easy as you can ever imagine. We ended up going through my sister-in-law, who, actually has connections all throughout New Jersey and different places for vehicles. Got the got the vehicle worked out through her, through text message, everything like that. Never saw the vehicle, never went to the dealership. Agreed on numbers through text. Dealer put the car on a flatbed, shipped it down to Myrtle Beach where we live,
Amazing.
and brought my car to Carvana, 19.6, and the wheels were chewed up, and that we put that in the description, all that stuff already. So I'm expecting, because I'm a car guy, I'm expecting to bring it to the Carvana place, and then they come out, do their inspection, and I was expecting to walk away with maybe 19,000, because I'm maybe coming out and saying, well, we looked at it, your wheels were a little chewed up, because that's what dealers typically will do, is they'll put a number on it, and they'll say, well, as we did our final inspection, we noticed this, and so they'll back out some money. But 19.6, we get there, me and my daughter, literally 15 minutes tops, not even. I mean, maybe 10 minutes. We get there, hand the keys over, they come out, they walk around, do the inspection, they come back in, she goes like this, here you go, hands me the check, and I was out. It was that fast. She's like, here you go, $5,600 for you. She paid off the rest to Toyota, and I'm like, that's it? She's like, that's it. I'm like,
That's how
okay.
it should be. That's how easy
Exactly.
it should be.
Exactly. So I walked out, and I was like, and my daughter's like, that's it, Dad? I'm like, yeah, that's it. So we went, and it was a great experience. And I loved the experience, the feeling and everything. So why can't we?
Why can't we?
Why can't we? That's the question. We can. It's just that we make it
100%
more difficult.
100% agree we can. And I would say the answer why a lot of dealers would say, why can't we, is because now customers have been conditioned to deal with us a certain way based off the way us as the dealership world have told them how to work with us. So they aren't going to give us certain things because they're afraid to give us certain things because they feel they got to come into this store to get the best deal, and there's lack of transparency and all those things. But I would say to the average dealer at this point is, are we expecting the consumer to change first, or are we expecting us to change and then the customer will change to us as the consumer? And I think that's ultimately what we have to do. There are examples of dealerships out there, and I live in Dallas, and there's an organization called Sewell Automotive Group, and they have absolutely conditioned their customers to work with them the way they want to be worked with, and they lead with a certain message. And so the change of the way you work as a consumer, or as the dealership, can absolutely change the way the consumers will be conditioned to work with you. And with all this world of change around digital retailing, purchasing online, AI interaction, man, you can teach your customers how to interact with you. You
Yes.
can market in a way, you can communicate to your customers that will have them be able to make that process easy, and you will be served because of it. But it is one of those things that you as the store have to lead that experience and not think that the customer is going to lead you down that path. Joe, I'll give you the final words on that, and then we'll kind of wrap up with Anthony in
Yeah.
regards to the final stages of what's going to
Yeah.
happen at the.
Absolutely, 100%, and as it should be, we will set them into our process, but in the process, let's not make it difficult, right? So, we want them to understand that, yes, there's a professional process and a road that we're going to travel down on this process, but it can still be very fast, it can be frictionless, it can be easy and transparent, right? It doesn't have to be like I hate going to T-Mobile when I have to go ahead and upgrade my phone. Like I hate it. I had gotten my new phone recently, and I'm literally in the freaking store for an hour and a half plus every time. I hate it, and I can't stand it. And I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't have time for this. And so I can either just call up and get them to send me the phone, doing like the thing on. I can't stand it. So anyway, I say all that to say that it's about creating a process that doesn't make me feel like I hate it. And I think it can still be done, and it's being done. It's just, and there's nothing wrong with having a process. And if somebody's asking a question, yeah, absolutely, we're going to get you all the information you need, no problem. Just have a couple of questions before we get to what you're trying to get real quick. And then, or you can say, here it is, but I'll go ahead and break that down completely in just a moment. And it's okay to say yes and then continue down your process. But we don't want to make it so complicated and so crazy and difficult and annoying that it's just like pulling teeth. So yeah, so we can definitely do this. I think it's going to be awesome, and I can't wait to see what comes out of this with the consumers and dealers all in the same room and interacting, and I think I really think it'll be just a great experience and bring out a lot of light bulb moments for everybody.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Anthony, talk a little bit about, obviously, you're going to get the ways and success stories of people that Joe's worked with, people that you work
Yes.
with. We've got a lot of amazing speakers, people that are doing this in the dealership, people that are working with dealership. You're going to be able to gain that process. Now, for the people who haven't yet committed to come or are still on the fence, give one last pitch. Why should you come? And then when you decide to come, walk us through exactly what it takes to go ahead and get set up to make it here this year.
Awesome. Well, listen, if you haven't decided to come to by appointment only yet, please make that decision soon, because tickets are really starting to pick up. What's going to make this one different is we're going to bring the consumer to the stage, and we're going to bring hospitality to the forefront. Notice that the name of the event is called Behind the Yes, right? And we want to find out what makes the consumer say yes. But we're also bringing a hospitality element to the speaker sessions as well, is where we have our VIP networking event at Bonacera. The restaurateur, Chris Mariani, who I used to work for, is going to be a guest speaker. And the reason I'm bringing him on is because that's where I learned the art of hospitality and how to be a sales professional. And he's going to talk about how to say yes, how to learn how to say yes to your consumer. Because in his restaurant, there is no word no. The word is yes. If you come in on a Saturday night and you want to take something out of one of the entrees, no problem. Yes. If you come in on a Saturday night and you have a recipe in your head that you want them to cook, they will cook it for you. The answer is yes. If you have a special occasion, guess what? They're going to make it happen. He learns how to say yes. There is no closing time. They walk out when the last person walks out. That's the definition of hospitality. You can't take a picture of it. It's how you make people feel. And the whole intention of by appointment only is to give you the best and brightest minds of the industry to teach you all the processes that you need to know. But I want to teach you that hospitality is the forefront and the driving factor in every business, no matter what it is. And if you focus on making people feel a certain way, you're going to get them to react a different way, right? So if you haven't chosen yet, come. And the way to find us is to go to Eventbrite, go to By Appointment Only, Volume 4. You're going to see ticket prices. They just went up this morning. I didn't raise them up as much as I was going to. So the general admission is $249. Of that, we get you access to the conference itself at Bell Works. It includes a light breakfast and coffee and tea. It also includes lunch. You can also get the VIP ticket, which is VIP All Access, and that includes the conference itself, as well as the VIP networking party, which is going to be hosted at Bonacera in Red Bank from 7 till about 10 p.m. That includes free cocktails, free food, networking, creating relationships, and solidifying all those relationships and seeds that you planted during the conference. So if you haven't chosen, come find us, and I look forward to seeing you.
If you have stayed here for the 30 minutes of this full episode to gather all this information from Joe, Anthony, and myself, then you should have already spent the time to go ahead and get signed up, to get your tickets, to book your flights out there. As a person who went last year, I'm super excited to go again this year, and I look forward to seeing all of you guys at the event. Joe, any final words?
I just can't wait to be there and shake everybody's hands and give somebody something to go back to their stores with and make a difference in their lives.
All right, Anthony, last words.
Guys, I see you there. I look forward to both you gentlemen. I look forward to seeing you there.
You as
You
well.
too,
Bye.
Anthony.
Make sure to bring your
You too,
smiles.
Matt. Yes,
I'll
thank
try.
you.
Bye.